Okay, one more review to make sure that you are ready for this quiz on rules of exponents. Okay, so your quiz is only going to consist of 10 questions. It shouldn't take more than 10 minutes. Okay, so we're going to quickly go over this. Make sure you go into the quiz knowing these rules. Okay, so here we're just multiplying everything. You multiply your numbers like you've always multiplied numbers. 2 times 3 will always be a 6. Okay, now as far as your variables, you can only combine same base and then you add your exponents when you're multiplying. So in this case, this is my only u cubed, so I have u to the third power, but then my v's, I have -1 plus -3, which is -4. Okay, and you don't want to stop here. My directions will be right using only positive exponents. So I have this line right here. So my final answer, the 6 is going to stay above, the u cubed is going to stay below, but I'm going to cross the line, change the sign of my negative exponent. So v to the +4 in the denominator. That's what you're looking for. Okay. Number 2, same as number 1. 4 times 2 is 8. I have my y's. This time when I add, I get 7 plus -4, which is going to be a 3. And then I have my x's just to the 5th power. And now I don't need to move anything because they're all positive exponents. Okay, so that was easy. Number 3, same thing. This time I have 3 numbers to multiply. So again, if you need a calculator, if you can't do that in your head and get a 24, you can certainly pick up your calculator. Okay, just don't type in the variables. You just type in the numbers, and you're going to see it's a 24. Okay, so 24. My a's, just be careful. When you don't see an exponent, there is a 1. So I just need you to be aware of that. A squared times a is a cubed. And then for my b's, I need to take the -8 plus 5, which is going to be a -3. And just like that first problem, I need to rewrite this so that I only have positive exponents. So the 24 stays above, the a cubed stays above, but then the b's, I'm going to send down, cross the line, change the sign of my negative exponent. Okay, super easy. And then the last one like this, so I have 4 problems where you're just adding your exponents, multiplying the numbers, add your exponents, get rid of negative exponents. So 8, it's going to be x to the -2 and y to the 7th. Okay, so there's my line. I'm going to keep the 8 and the y to the 7th on top, but then this x will be sent down to the bottom, cross the line, change the sign of your exponent. That's how it works. Okay, that's how you apply the rules of exponents to simplify correctly. Okay, so now the next set of rules we have where we have factors inside raised to an outside power. So everything inside must be raised to the outside power. So that 2 must be raised to the 4th power. So if you need to, use your calculator. You have a caret key. Your exponent key is right underneath the clear key on your calculator. You could ask, hey, calculator, what's 2 to the 4th? It's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is going to be a 16. Okay, so it's 16. And then when you have an exponent, like my a is being cubed, but then I have cubed raised to the 4th power, you multiply. So 3 times 4 is 12. And then for the b's, it's -3 times 4, which is -12. And finally, I'm just going to rewrite this so that my negative exponent gets moved to the bottom and made positive. Okay, cross the line, change the sign. So now this one, the 4 is being raised to the -2. Now for this problem, I'm just going to write it like that for now. 4 raised to -2. A negative times a negative is a positive. 4 times -2 is -8. Okay, so now I'm going to bring that 4 squared down below, and I'm actually going to calculate 4 times 4, which is 16. I need you to understand where that 16 is coming from. Your calculator knows it. So if I ask the calculator for 4 raised to -2, it gives me an ugly decimal, but then math, enter, enter, I'm going to see that it's 1 over 16. So I have the 16 in the bottom. The x to the 6 stays above. I'm going to take the y's down, going to cross the line, change the sign. So there's your final answer. Okay? For number 7, 2 is being raised to, whoops, let's move this so you can see, 2 to the -1. a to the negative 2, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, and then b negative 3 times negative 1 is a positive 3. Okay, so there's my line. I'm going to send a 2 down to below and make it to the 1 power, which is just a 2. The a squared goes to the bottom, made positive, and the b cubed stays where it's at. Okay, nice and easy. And finally, 3 must be raised to negative 3. The y, multiply your exponents. Exponent raised to a power, you multiply. And then negative 4 times negative 3 is a positive 12. I'm going to send the 3 down to the bottom. And then you need to realize 3 cubed is 27. You can ask the calculator, but it's in the bottom now, okay, because it's really 3 raised to negative 3, which is 1 over 27. The y's get down to the bottom, and the x stays where it's at. Okay, don't overcomplicate this. This needs to be easy. Okay, the last 2 problems, all you're doing is dividing. Okay, so numbers, reduce numbers like you've always done in the past. A 3 out of 6 is a 1/2. If you don't know, the calculator knows if you take a 3 divided by 6, you get a 0.5, which everybody should know is a 1/2. Okay, so I have a 1/2. And then I subtract my exponents. Negative 4 minus negative 3 is going to be a negative 1. Okay, need you to be able to subtract properly. And then I do have this y to the negative 2. Oh, wait, sorry. I looked at that incorrectly. Mr. Wegman did not combine the like variables. Sorry. So we're going to fix this right away. I'm going to bring this to the top. So again, you can't subtract because that's an x. The bases were not the same. What I can do is take negative 4 minus negative 2, which is going to be negative 2. Okay, and I'm just going to, for now, I'm just going to rewrite the x to negative 3 in the bottom. But then we're going to send the y's to the bottom, change the sign. We're going to send the x's to the top. Okay, so anytime you cross that line, if I go from bottom to top, I change this sign of my exponent. Okay, so now this one, 9 divided by 3 is a 3. So I'm going to have a 3 up top. My y's, again, make sure you don't subtract unlike bases. So it's going to be negative 1 minus 3, which is negative 4. And then it's going to be 3 minus 2, which is a 1. And then all I need to do to finish this is send the y to the bottom and make it positive. Okay? So again, with me explaining and even making a little mistake in number 9, it still took under 8 minutes to complete this. You should have no problem getting a similar quiz done in a period. So make sure you're studying this, make sure you have your assignments completed, and you should have these rules perfected. Thanks for watching. Take care.